Welcome to How to Find a Provable Patriot in 90 Minutes or Less. My name is Debbie Dewey. Most of this presentation is in two articles on my website, Debbie's Lineage Research Corner at www.learnwebskills.com/lineage. The two articles are Debbie's process for finding a patriot for prospective members and Debbie's process for finding a patriot for supplemental applications. If you have not done so already, you will need to bookmark the site once you go there, as you will not find it in a Google search. It is a site for DAR members only. Usually, the most difficult part of a DAR application is documenting patriot to patriot's child and patriot's child to patriot's grandchild. Most of the time, the rest of the lineage is a piece of cake. The reason patriot to patriot's child and patriot's child to patriot's grandchild is so difficult is because this is before the 1850 census. Every 10 years, starting in 1790, we have had a census. However, it wasn't until 1850 that everyone in the household was listed by name and age. From 1790 to 1840, only the head of household was listed by name, and everyone else got a tick mark according to their gender and age. Thus, you cannot use a 1790 to 1840 census to prove a parent-child relationship. For these early generations, you will need to find a will, a deed, a Bible record, a county history, etc., which can be difficult to locate. The best strategy when working with a prospective member is to find a previously approved DAR application that already documents patriot to patriot's child and patriot's child to patriot's grandchild, so you don't have to worry about these early generations. That is the focus of this presentation. I will teach you how to find a previously approved application, if one exists, that takes care of these early generations. So how many possible patriots do you have? Well, your ancestors double every generation. There's you, 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, 16 great-great-grandparents, etc. Now, most of the Revolutionary War ancestors in a perfect world are in generation 7, 8, 9. And if in a perfect world, if all the males in each of those generations were Revolutionary War patriots or eligible to be so, that would be 32 plus 64 plus 128, which equals 224. And in a perfect world, we are also adding additional female patriots, so that number would be slightly higher. The point is that most people who have one patriot probably have additional patriots in their lineage. There are 5 important tools to the process I'm going to teach you today. The first tool is the genealogy worksheet. This is a very important part of the process. In Florida, we ask almost every prospective member to fill out the genealogy worksheet. The only time we do not ask a prospective member to complete it is when she has a close relative in the DAR. A close relative meaning mother, daughter, sister, grandmother, aunt. In the rest of the cases, we do ask prospective members to complete it. The genealogy worksheet is a 1-page Word document that you can download from my website. Because it's a Word document, the prospective member can type the information in the form and email it back to you, or they can print it out, write in the information, and mail it to you. You'll want to put your contact information up here in the return to box. Now, the worksheet asks for the name, birth date, birthplace, marriage date, marriage place, and death date and death place for parents, all 4 grandparents, and all 8 great-grandparents. Basically, the purpose of the worksheet is to gather information on both sides of the family. In other words, the father's side as well as the mother's side. Next, we have the 5-generation chart. This you can also download from my website. It will serve as your map as you work through the process, so you know where you've been and where you haven't been. And as you work through the process, you'll be filling in names. And we'll see examples of that. Then we have the DAR Descendants Database Advanced Search, the public member trees on Ancestry.com, And in some cases, you will need to use the census records, but in most cases, you will be able to do the process with 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we'll walk through each of those. All right, here's my website. When you go to this address, this is what you'll see. And when you get there, you'll want to click on Articles here or Articles here. And the first article you'll see is Debbie's process for finding a patriot for prospective members. And then right below that, you're going to find Debbie's process for finding a patriot for supplemental applications. Now, if you're interested in supplemental applications, you'll need to pay very close attention to what I say about prospective members, because the process is basically the same except for 2 things that I will talk about later. Step 1 of the process: get the prospective member to complete the genealogy worksheet. Do not assume that the patriot that the prospective member has identified will be the easiest patriot to prove. In fact, it might just be the first patriot that she's found. I had to find 4 patriots before I could find one that I could prove, and to this day, I have only proven 2 of those 4 patriots. And if I was still focused on my first patriot that I found, I still wouldn't be in DAR because I have not been able to prove him. Also remember, it is your responsibility when you're helping a prospective member to do whatever you can to get her in the DAR, but it is not your responsibility to prove her favorite patriot when she has other easier to prove patriots in her lineage. Step 2, you're going to enter the last name of each great-grandparent couple in the DAR Descendants Database Advanced Search. The DAR Descendants Database is part of the Genealogical Research System, the GRS, and it contains all the lineages from all the approved DAR applications. Now, you always want to start with great-grandparents when you're using this, as the first 3 generations are usually blocked for privacy reasons. The only way you might be able to see that is if you have e-membership access. So you're going to want to start with great-grandparents. Okay, and this is what the DAR Descendants Database looks like. You want to go to Advanced Search so that you see both the last name and the spouse's last name. Now, with the Descendants Database, you must always put the last name of the husband at the top and the wife with her maiden name where it says spouse. If you do it the other way around, if you put the spouse up here and the husband here, you won't find a match even if there is one. So with the system, you always must put the husband's last name and the wife's maiden name down here where it says spouse. Okay, let's look at what this would look like. So here it is in the GRS. Here's the ancestor database, the member database, the descendants database. So that's where we're going. And we're going to click on Advanced Search. You're going to type the last name of the husband and the wife with her maiden name here. These are my great-grandparents. And you're going to click Search. I very rarely, in doing this, type a first name. Why? Because if you spell Philip with 2 L's and the person who uploaded the information only does 1 L, then you won't get a match. Also, if you spell Sarah S-A-R-A and they spelled it S-A-R-A-H, you won't get a match. So I always leave the first name out in most cases. Okay, last name here, wife with her maiden name here, click Search. And these are the applications with my great-grandparents. At this point, you're going to come over here and click on the little chart. And as you can see, the first 3 generations are blocked. Like I said, I'm not in e-membership. I'm in the members only site, so they're blocked. And it gives you the lineage. If you are not sure about spelling, you can just put a few letters. If you're used to using the asterisk with the wildcard search, that still works. Or you can do it without the asterisk. Both are acceptable. If you have never used the DAR Descendants database, there is a demonstration linked on my website. So you could come here and click where it says demonstration. And it's going to give the instructions over in the left-hand frame and a picture of what's happening in the right-hand frame. And it'll walk you through step by step what to do. All right, let's look at my actual genealogy worksheet. So if I had received a genealogy worksheet back from a prospective member and they pretty much filled it in completely, the first thing I would do is come down to great-grandparents and look at where they were born. Iowa, 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 Ontario, Canada, probably not. Quebec, well, Quebec is a possibility. There are many Quebec patriots who never left Quebec. So if you run across somebody with Quebec lineage, don't discount that. I have an index to French Canadian patriots on my website. They may very well have a patriot. So Quebec is a possibility. And then Missouri and Missouri. All right. Now, we're going to check all 4 great-grandparent couples in the DAR Descendants database. So we have John Beauchart and Addie Miller. Beauchart, Miller, click search, don't get anything. Roy Rice Baker, Hattie Mae Herrick. Baker, Herrick, click search, don't get anything. Patrick Ozer, Alvina Dargis. Ozer Dargis, click search, don't get anything. Martin Heck, Clara Wind. Heck Wind, click search, don't get anything. All right. Sometimes you will get a hit on great-grandparents, and that makes everything a lot easier if you've got an application that already has the prospective's great-grandparents. But we didn't do that this time, and most of the time you will have to go further. So, step 3. We're going to print out a 5-generation chart for each of the prospective members' great-grandparents born in the United States. That could be as many as 8 charts. What you want to do is, if you want to save paper, you can print out 4 charts and then put the great-grandfather here, and on the other side, put the great-grandmother with her maiden name. So that's 4 pieces of paper with 8 charts with them on each side. And that's going to serve as your map as you work through this. Now, because we only know up to great-grandparents for the prospective member, we now need to go find great-great-grandparents. So we're going to go to the Public Member Trees database on Ancestry.com to find the great-grandparents. The Ancestry's Public Member Trees is the largest database of family trees on the internet. Now you want to be careful in using the Public Member Trees database, as there are many errors. So take it with a grain of salt, but it is much easier to start with someone else's research and then gather the documentation to prove or disprove that research than it is to start completely from scratch. So we're going to use the Public Member Trees database, and if we find something, we're just going to be very careful knowing that there's errors. And then you're going to enter the names of each great-grandparent couple in the Public Member Trees database to try to connect to someone else's research that will take you back 1 or more generations. So let's look at the example here. We're going to go to Public Member Trees. So you go to Ancestry.com, www.ancestry.com. You're going to click on Search. You're going to go down to Public Member Trees, and you're going to click on that. You're going to type a first name and a last name for the husband, and then the wife with her maiden name where it says spouse, and you're not going to fill anything else in. Keep it simple. Don't fill any other space in, because if you put a birth year of 1805 and they put a birth year of 1804, it may not turn up. So we're just going to keep it simple. And then you're going to click Search. And so here we go. Here's Roy Rice Baker, married to Hattie Herrick, and there's 30 trees. So if you want to look at all the trees, you can either click on 30 trees or view all, and you're going to scan down to see which ones. I always look at the ones that have the most records. So we have 19 records, 5 records, 0 records. I'm going to click on Roy Rice Baker for the 19 records. Okay, here's his profile. And over here, it gives me his parents, and that's where we're going to be looking at as we move forward through this process. So step 5, and this is extremely important. For each and every generation in the prospective member's lineage, you're going to enter the husband's last name and the wife's maiden name in the DAR Descendants Database Advanced Search. So we already did great-grandparents when we went through and did the 4 couples on the worksheet. Now we're going to do great-great-grandparents, and then we're going to do great-great-great-grandparents, and then great-great-great-great-grandparents. So every generation, you're going to put the husband and the wife in the Descendants database. So we know Roy Rice Baker's parents are George Baker and Alice Rice right here. So we're going to do Baker Rice. Click search. We don't get anything. Then we're going to come and click on George Baker to get his parents. Jonas Baker and Ann Houts. Baker Houts. Click search. We don't get anything. Then we're going to click on Jonas Baker and get his parents. John Baker, Elizabeth Wingard. Baker Wingard. Click search. Don't get anything. Now, as I'm going along here, I am writing in on a piece of paper the 5-generation chart next to me. I'm filling in the names. So I know where I've been and where I haven't been. Now, we could probably go one more generation with John Baker and Elizabeth Wingard. However, nobody knows who their parents are. They're my brick wall. I mean, if anyone ever discovers their parents, please let me know. So we're going to go look at Ann Houts now and get her parents, since we can't go any further with John Baker and Elizabeth Wingard. So we click on Ann Houts, and it doesn't give us her parents. Well, no worries. This particular person's database probably was interested in the Baker line, not the Houts line. So we're going to go back to the main search page, and we're going to put her up here and Jonas down here. Now, you can put the wife with her maiden name at the top in the public member trees and the husband down here. It's the DAR Descendants database where you must put the husband here and the wife with her maiden name here. But in the public member trees, we can put her here, and we want to do that because we want to see the results for Ann to see which result has her parents listed. We're going to click search. 175 trees. So we're going to click on view all. And we're going to look through. Here's one that's 7. Here's 8, 0. I'm going to click on the one with 8 records. Parents, Leonard Houts and Sarah Whitmer. So we go to the DR Descendants database. Houts, Whitmer. Click search. Don't get anything. Click on Leonard Houts to get his parents. Jacob House and Anna Maria Gunkel. Houts, Gunkel. Click search. Don't get anything. Now we're at the time of the Revolutionary War. The last thing we want to do at this point is to try to prove a new patriot. We want to avoid doing that. However, we have our 5-generation chart. If we have to come back, we know where we've been. But for right now, I want to try to find a way not to prove a new patriot. So I'm going to come click on Sarah Whitmer. Her parents, Peter Whitmer and Mary Magdalene Overmeyer. Whitmer, Overmeyer, click search, don't get anything. Been filling in our 5-generation chart. Now we're going to come back and look at Alice Rice and go through and find her parents and grandparents and great-grandparents. Step 6. If you don't find anything in the public member trees on Ancestry.com when you put in the great-grandparent couple, you'll need to go to the census records and look for the great-grandparents in their parents' household. Like I said, most of the time you will not need to use the census records, but on occasion you will. So let's look to see what that looks like. So here we are. We have William Boshart in the household of Minnow Boshart and Sophia Boshart. Now, we don't know what Sophia's maiden name is in the census record. So in this case, this is the time when I would put a first name. So I would put Boshart, Minnow, and then Sophia, because we don't know what Sophia's maiden name is. So we'll put the husband's first name. Now let's look at a real worksheet example. Now everything on the prospective member's information, and her parents and grandparents I've changed. So this is not real information. What is real information is the information on her great-grandparents. Everything for the great-grandparents is exactly what I received when I received the worksheet. And we're going to work through this real example with the great-grandparents. So the first thing you want to do when you get a worksheet is come down to the great-grandparents and look where they live. Massachusetts, New Brunswick, Canada, probably not. Massachusetts, Maine, Vermont, Ukraine, definitely not. Now here I've split the screen so you can see the worksheet over here and the descendants database on the right, so you can see what's going on a little closer. So we have Carl Holman. We're going to try each of the great-grandparent couples first. So Carl Holman in Alberta Hatfield, Holman Hatfield, click search, don't get anything. Then we're going to come down to the next great-grandparent couple, John Bassinet, Florence Buxton. Bassinet Buxton, click search, don't get anything. And then Alden Vernon Cooper and Helen Williams, Cooper, Williams, click search, don't get anything. All right, since we struck out on the great-grandparents, we're going to go to the public member trees database and then get each of their lineages. They're the great-grandparents, the great-great-grandparents, etc. All right, so we're going to click on search. We're going to come to public member trees. Now we're going to put Carl Holman and Alberta Hatfield into the public member tree database to see if we can find great-great-grandparents. All right, here we go. Carl Holman's parents are Alvin Holman and Lucy Richardson. So Holman Richardson in the descendants database, click search, don't get anything. We're going to click on Alvin Holman to get his parents. Alvin Holman's parents are Joshua Reed Holman and Nancy Palmer. Holman Palmer in the descendants database, click search, don't get anything. We're going to click on Joshua Reed Holman to get his parents. Porter Holman and Persis Reed. Holman Reed, click search, don't get anything. Going to click on Porter Holman to get his parents. Stephen Holman and Martha Belknap. Holman Belknap, click search, don't get anything. Now again, I've been filling out my 5-generation chart, and Stephen Holman and Martha Belknap would be new patriots. We don't want to do that, so we don't want to go any further with that. We want to come and look at Persis Reed's parents, then Nancy Palmer's parents and grandparents, and then Lucy Richardson's lineage. All right, so we're going to click on Persis Reed and get her parents. Joshua Reed and Miriam Fairbanks, Reed Fairbanks, click search, don't get anything. So now we want to come back and get Joshua Reed Holman's wife, which is Nancy Palmer. And so here she is, Nancy Palmer. We're going to click on her. It doesn't list her parents. We're going to, remember, we go back to the main search page and put her in up here and Joshua here. And then we do get 18 trees. Going to click on View All. And we select one, which has the most records. Parents Joseph Palmer and Nancy. Again, because Nancy doesn't have a maiden name, we're going to put first name for the husband and then Nancy. We click search, we don't get anything. So now we're going to go all the way back to Alvin Holman, which is Joshua Reed Holman's son, and then look at his wife's lineage, Lucy Richardson. So we click on Lucy Richardson to get her parents. Silas Richardson and Martha Smith. Richardson Smith. Click search, don't get anything. Click on Silas Richardson to get his parents. Silas Richardson and Abigail Daniels. Richardson Daniels. Click search, don't get anything. Again, we're at the time of the revolution. We don't want a new patriot. So we are pretty much done with that. So we're going to go now to great-grandparent couple number 2 and check their lineages and get their parents and grandparents in the public member trees. Click on search, go to public member trees and ancestry.com. John Bassinet and Florence Buxton. Click search. All right, we have 11 trees, view all, and here's one. And so John Bassinet's parents are John Bassinet, Mary McKenzie, Bassinet McKenzie. Click search, don't get anything. Click on John Bassinet, get his parents. Thomas William Bassinet and Ellen. We put them over here. Click search, don't get anything. All right. Going to our last great-grandparent couple. At this point, I was getting a little nervous. All right, we're going to give them a try. Alden Cooper and Helen Williams. All right, so Alden Cooper's parents are Daniel Cooper and Margaret Crockett. Cooper Crockett. Click search, don't get anything. Click on Daniel Cooper, get his parents. Enos Cooper and Sarah Thurston. Cooper Thurston. Click search, don't get anything. Now let's try Daniel's wife, Margaret Crockett. Click on Margaret. Her parents are Samuel Crockett and Elmira Ledbetter. Crockett Ledbetter. Click search. And we finally get a hit. Now before I go do the happy dance, I'm going to come over here and click on the chart. And then I'm going to scroll down and make sure it doesn't say future applicants must prove correct service. Luckily it does not, so I'm happy about that. And although this is a 400,000 number application, as you can see here, it's nicely filled in with full dates and places. So that makes me very confident that this is going to work. I'm also going to come down and look at the child that this application goes through. It goes through child John. So then I want to go into Increase Ledbetter's profile and look at all the applications that were submitted through and the children they were submitted through. And there's an even more recent one through child John. So I feel very confident that this is going to work. Now, if you are doing this process because you're interested in supplemental applications, a couple things that are different than the process I just described. First of all, if you are a member who joined more than 18 months ago, don't get too excited when you get a hit on one set of your great-grandparents, because that's going to be your DAR application. So you're going to want to look for other patriots other than the one that you've already submitted. So just be aware you're going to get a hit because you have an application. So, and also, if you're interested in doing supplemental applications, then what I suggest for the 5-generation chart, rather than starting with great-grandparents, start with yourself. Put yourself here, your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents go here, and your great-great-grandparents go here. You have 16 great-great-grandparents. For every great-great-grandparent that was born in the United States, you want to fill out a new chart. So if great-grandfather was born in the United States, that's up here, you would then start a new chart with him here, parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and then his wife on the back. If you want to, rather than do 16 pieces of paper, 8 pieces of paper, put her on the back with her maiden name and then her parents, grandparents, great-grandparents. So this is generation 5. So great-grandfather number 16 would come here. So he's generation 5, generation 6, generation 7, 8, and 9. And it's in 7, 8, and 9 that you're going to find your patriots. Okay. And then finally, I want to point out something for the chapter registrars who are working with prospective members. And I mentioned that you want to get the prospective member to fill out the worksheet. And when you send an email with the worksheet attached, you should use some specific verbiage in that email to get the prospective member to fill out exactly what you want. And here is a sample email to include with that worksheet to get them to fill it out the way you want. And I'm going to read it to you. Dear Susan, I received your inquiry about membership in the DAR. I am the registrar of the Ivy Stranahan chapter in Fort Lauderdale. I will be helping you with your application. Please complete the attached one-page genealogy worksheet with as much information as you know on your parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents on both sides of your family, both all capitalized. Specifically, I need information on your father's parents and father's grandparents and your mother's parents and mother's grandparents. I need this information in order to find the easiest and least expensive way for you to join. You can either type the information into the form and email it to me, or you can print it out, write in the information, and mail it to me. My contact information is on the form. When I receive it, I will let you know exactly what you need to do to complete your application. So this sample email is under chapter registrars here on my website. So that's where you want to click to receive that. And why that's important is because if you don't give them that specific information, many of them are going to put themselves here and then their patriot way down here, and you're just going to see the one lineage, which is not what you want. You want information on both sides of the family. Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation, and don't forget, here is the website address, and be sure to bookmark it so that you can find it later.